started. So we finished. So we are called to order. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? None, okay. I have no remarks, other than that the Osprey Festival was great, except when the weather was crappy, but
That's too bad.
really hurt their turnout.
Yeah, especially in the beginning,
Well, I think too, the fear was that it was gonna be worse than it actually was.
yeah.
Some people just-
Right. Anyway, so
The lecture Thursday night was terrific.
Yeah,
It
he
was, that was
was.
great.
Greg Kearns, yeah, he was great.
yeah, that was very good. So, I'm sure Sal will want to carry on with that.
Oh, so-
Unless he totally walked out after this one, but
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully.
he
He
seemed
worked
he
very
seemed
hard
to
on
really
it.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
so.
I don't know what the total was, because I know they give the money to the Raptor rehab
Mhm.
places, and I'm curious to know like how much they raised, and
Mhm.
I don't know yet.
Hopefully, I didn't make it, so I'm gonna make a donation, but hopefully more people will make donations.
Yeah, and some people did, I know they did, and because it was over more than one day, there were donations
Right.
even before Saturday,
Good.
so.
Do you know where Mike Callahan, what sanctuary?
He's in the Audubon,
Oh, okay.
Audubon Society, but he was fantastic
He was
too.
very good, yes.
Yeah, he really was, he was really great with kids.
Yeah.
How was the turnout?
It was very weak in the beginning. I was registering people, so I was standing under the tent, and it was awful. But it picked up later. Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. Okay, Rita,
Okay, it's that,
update us on the office.
yes, I will. It's that time of year, I'm tracking returned mail, having a little bit of luck on that. Also, there is, and then I'll be doing some claims, which is just not my favorite time of year, but it is what it is. There is a man on Harbor Drive who has a fence in his front yard, and he actually has a garden with different plots, those raised plots. And it really doesn't look bad, but it's not an ornamental fence. So I sent him an email to let him know that that was against our guidelines, and he responded to say they just had a baby and they're very much want to protect their garden. Apparently they're, you know,
Deer and stuff.
clean eaters and whatever, dogs actually, he said dogs were. So anyway, he wonders if he couldn't have an exemption on that, and talked with Mike, and Mike kind of suggested that since it really doesn't look bad, that maybe over the course, you know, once the baby's, you know, not so much trouble, so, I don't know, they could maybe add some pickets to it or something, at least across the front, to make it look less, you know, more ornamental.
What does it look like now?
It's not chicken wire, but it's
I'll show you.
wire.
Oh, okay.
It's wire, but it's not just strung on metal posts.
Yeah, I know which house you're talking about. We can walk by it.
Yeah.
I never like really.
Just past
love when
Marine,
people do that.
yeah.
It's got 4x4 corner posts, and he's even put little lamps up on a couple of them, so they look a little more
Oh, I
ornamental.
see, yeah.
You must have just done that.
It's not
The
a.
wire is
Yeah.
it's a heavy gauge, like probably 2x3 inch rectangle kind of wires. And they're not, you know, it's not hanging, so it doesn't really look bad. If he would put,
Couple more pickets or something?
well,
Because it, you know, I thought that.
or even rails, you know, across, that would
Yeah, you
just tend to make it look more like
Yeah,
a,
like a fence.
like
Yeah.
a rail, split rail type fence.
It's not a big deal.
I thought what is our warning exactly?
The guideline simply says, no non-ornamental fences in the front.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
say, I thought it had said no wire.
I thought it
Just
said,
said
I mean, yeah, I
not
thought,
it,
I
not
was
it.
There are
there.
some houses that have, like there's even one, isn't there one on Bay Drive where the front, because there's like the fake dog further down. Further down from your house, Jack. There's one in the front where there is just a metal fence, which, so somehow they got around the,
I think
Nobody has reported.
yeah, I mean, to me, it's not, I mean, as long as they're keeping a meat and everything,
There's
I
so
don't think
many-
it's a big deal.
So, well, not that many, but there are a number of properties that are so badly kept.
Right.
Yes.
They don't have a bad fence, but it's just.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the trash issue is a bigger issue.
Exactly
than-
right, yeah.
than,
So,
Well, the guy up on, I think it's on Huron, on the
Mohawk,
far end, well, maybe it's Mohawk,
down by the beach from last year,
yeah,
in Mohawk, I think.
okay. He's done a similar, he's got a garden plot in his front. Now, his fence is not as good looking as this one, but, what he had asked last year was, hey, can I put it up temporarily while the garden's productive? And we sort of
Keep the deer out.
shrugged our shoulder, you know,
This fence, well, it's not ornamental, it looks tidy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't look
No.
off.
Did anybody complain about it?
No, Mike didn't complain, but when we came back from court the other day,
You noticed
he
it.
said, I wanna show you
I think-
something. Would you ask him about it? No, nobody's complaining,
Yeah.
nobody's.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
okay.
Maybe instead of giving an exemption, you could say, in the future, if you could make it.
And he thought that was a reasonable compromise.
Okay.
Maybe not right away, but as
Yeah.
time goes by, and as I say, as the baby's a little less, baby,
Yeah, somebody make a motion to
Yeah, maybe.
accept it, with
Provisions.
provisions that he tried to put some rails or something up eventually.
I move that we give him this temporary exemption with those provisions that state.
Okay, all, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What?
What was
I
that?
think she
Nancy?
said aye.
She said,
Okay.
Yeah, so just send it.
Okay, I'll let him know. Okay. Then the other thing that might require an actual, agenda item next time. Apparently, we are required now to have another reserve study for Maryland state law. I thought it was just for condos.
What kind of studies?
A reserve study, that's how long it's been since we've had a
Can you
reserve
explain
study.
to us what it is?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, a reserve, I guess I figured you all knew.
No.
So a reserve study, there are experts, and we had one done, I think the last one in 2010 or 12. Miller Dodson and Associates. They come in, they look at your community, what are your amenities, what buildings do you have to care for over the course of the next 20 years, say. The roads, I think, for us as well. And they tell you how much you need to actually put aside in a reserve. Now, when we had that done back in 2012, I think the first one was maybe 2007 or 8. We've had two. So we began to, put separate money into a separate account from the special tax district for the roads. And we were up to $247,500. And people complained, from Jerome Point, complained to the commissioners because they didn't want to be paying to preserve roads that they would never see. Because maybe they would move, or maybe they would be gone by then. One person in particular, I think he was in his 60s or something, and he was, anyway, doesn't matter. He complained in particular, which surprised me because he used to be on the board. But anyway, so the commissioners made us spend down all that money that we had set aside and dropped our special tax district that year to $50 a year until we could spend down our reserves. And that's when we started doing a mile to a mile and a half of road repaving every year. That's how all that came about. But we do have a reserve account for this office building. And that's what it is. And again, I thought it was just condo associations that were required to do this. That's not the case. So we will be,
Is that reserve account for this building, is that 24,210 in the
Yeah.
balance sheet?
yes, that's what that is. I
Oh.
think
How often do you have to do these things?
it's every 5 years. I would have to double check.
So the issue that they just want to make sure you have enough set aside.
Yeah, set aside. And I thought it was just for condos because those in particular associations take care of those buildings.
So the roofs and.
Yeah,
Common.
a great deal of more expense that way.
This reserve study produces recommendations or
Yes.
requirements?
You are requirements, I believe. Like, for instance, if they said to us, you need to have $150,000 set aside. We wouldn't have to have it immediately, but we would have to start funding that. Every year, budget for it, X number of dollars goes into the reserve account.
But don't we do that now?
We do that for this building, but there's the boat ramp, there's, you know, the
Okay.
beach, for instance. Had we had a reserve for the beach, you know,
Yeah.
over the years, we might have had $50,000 for that, you know. But it would be all those things, all the common areas and amenities and so on.
Well, the good part about it though is it would help prevent the kind of problem they had with the residents and commissioners before. They said, hey, spend that money down. Well, you can point back to this and say, no, the reserve study says we need to have this, this, and
It's
this.
now required,
Right.
in other
Yeah.
words. Yeah, so they
Okay.
really
Makes
perhaps
sense.
could not. And the last time we had it done, Gary was president of the board at the time, and he said, let's have two separate studies, one for STD money and one for other money. So when you look at those in the file, that's how it was done. How much out of STD do you have to put aside? Because that was mostly for the roads, capital projects. And then how much of your other money do you want, you know, should you have to put aside? So, shall I contact Miller Dotson? and-
Well, I have something to say about this.
Okay.
On my budget.
Okay,
And
okay.
It just happens. I
Yeah,
know about
exactly.
this, but
No,
now
this
that you
is,
mention it.
just the other day I found out about it, and anyway, so that's all I have to do on this.
Okay. So you're gonna talk about more,
The
All
budget and so
these large balances. But is it on my MIA?
No, I don't,
no, but I
No.
just wondered, if-
Yeah, it
Do we
would be
need-
related, yeah.
well, yeah, okay. Well, I guess we can circle back to it if we want to try to decide on something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would like to point out some other things before we decide anything.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Rhea, what's up with roads operations?
the paving is apparently finished. There was an issue with another driveway on Mill Creek at the interface, and Mike sent me a photo of it, and I sent that to Chris, who is still overseeing the project, and Brian Jarbo from Great Mills. And Chris said that was the way the property owner asked us to leave it. So I contacted the property owner, and he confirmed that that is what he wanted. So I documented that, I printed out his email response, set it in the file with Great Mills. So I haven't been billed yet, so, but you wanna take one more look at everything, or is everything good once I
No.
get the billing?
I'm sick and tired of it.
I imagine.
Done.
And I haven't had any complaints from people up in that area to say, oh, this or that is what's going on here. So apparently, it's to the satisfaction of most of the residents.
Yeah. Yeah, that one thing is stupid, but, you know.
Yeah.
So doesn't he owe us some tickets or something?
He does.
Tariff tickets
Yes, he
and whatever?
Yes, thank you
Okay.
for reminding me again. But
Tickets
yeah.
Remind me.
for what?
And when there's a paving project, they have what they call trip tickets, and it's how much asphalt is in this load. And you know, like Jeff would collect those to verify that indeed, you know, this big load, you know, this ticket tells me that that load was delivered. And there's also tickets for the fabric that they lay down.
Okay.
So Chris is supposed to collect those from Brian Jarbo. And the last time I talked with Chris through texting, he said he was waiting for everything to be done and then he would be getting them to me.
Okay, well, finally everything's done.
Well, and I did at one point tell him I can't pay anybody until I have it.
Right.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah. So, okay, stormwater management. Mike, well, we all know, there was an email sent out to everybody to approve the proposal from J. Calvin Wood on work on Mills Creek and on Pine Lane. And actually, we sent requests both to J. Calvin Wood and to Grover's Landscape. And by email vote, you guys approved J. Calvin Wood. So there's that, and then there's another one that Mike had me ask Grover's Landscape for a price on, and you've approved that as well, and this is for work on Perrin Drive. So we need a motion to approve the work. So the total, I'm not doing this very well, the total for the work on Mills Creek and Pine Lane totaled $3501. So this is for the record, you guys already know this. And on Perrin Drive, the amount was $2439. And that's versus the price we got from a company out of Charles County for 2 different areas on Pine that totaled about $14,000.
Wow.
So this is, you
On
know,
Perrin.
much, on Perrin, yes, that was on Perrin. Yeah, so I don't think we ever had a price on the 2 on Pine and then Mills Creek. So we need a motion to affirm the decisions made by email.
We have a motion to approve both of them, we can lump them together.
I motion to approve both of these bills.
Second,
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All. Just to add to the Perrin, what made me confident on Grover and this one is they actually had done the work back about 6 or 7 years ago to try to contain this drainage problem. And it basically worked, except that it silted in. And then the silt blocked where it was supposed to drain. So they were very familiar with it. They told me exactly what things I assumed about elevations and stuff, and they were all wrong. And they pointed it out to me and presented a real good plan to basically help try to control that silt and clear those drains out. So. And the price was so much less than the other. So.
Okay, Bay Drive Causeway. I've texted Michelle and I've called and left a message and I've not gotten any response to that. So, have you seen them? Have you talked with them at all? Sometimes she'll say, oh, I talked with mine.
I haven't seen them lately.
Okay. I'll keep pressing it. My only concern is that summer storms will be upon us and
Yeah.
we won't have it done.
Is there a way in the future to put some kind of time frame in, like, you know?
I think ordinarily we've done that, but whether it's an excuse or, you know, still saying that supply chains were down, and they were back when
Yeah, no, I
COVID hit,
realize
and-
that, that's why
So I
I'm
don't
saying
know
the future.
if it's still an issue or if they're just sort of, but they did get behind on things because of that supply chain. You know,
Yeah,
not
but
really
I also
being
feel like
critical.
they might be taking, like, you know, taking all these jobs and then,
Get
Well,
get back up.
then they slowly get to them all,
Yeah,
but,
Yeah,
No, it's a good point, we should try to strengthen that in the
Yeah.
contract
I think
agree.
in
so.
the future. Because unfortunately, they're kind of notorious about getting behind.
right. So, you know, barring anything like a supply chain issue with another pandemic, which I hope we don't have, obviously. Okay,
Oh, bug them again.
I will.
But they're not. they're not-
So now
they're
trees.
quality there, yeah.
So first we had a lot of wind, everybody probably knows that, on Saturday into Sunday. And the big tree down on Deer Drive that Jenny put on Facebook. And I'm not sure how, it got on Facebook and then you alerted Mike and
Well,
Mike.
she actually sent an email, I
I
realized,
sent
after
an
I
email.
went
Oh,
back and
yeah,
looked
yeah.
at it, but
Yeah.
Okay, so I called the fire department and they said they would take a look at it. And then, so they were gonna keep me posted and I hadn't heard back yet. So then I got a call from Gary Heel, who said that there was one not down on Rain Road, but about to be down. It's hanging precariously. He said it was, you know, a danger if you should come down and talk to somebody. So I called the fire department back, and first I got a different person, and she said, well, you're gonna need to call 911 to report these. And I said, oh, okay. And that did happen last year when we had a really big storm come through, probably the damage to the causeway year, I don't know. But I had to call and report it to 911, and they put it on the schedule for the fire department. But I asked the first person I talked to, you guys very busy? You know, a lot of wind, a lot of stuff down? He said, no, not really. So she put me on hold for a minute, and another person came on. And I can't think of his name, but I think he's the fire chief. Like, he was at the meeting that we had a while ago. Anyway, he said he would drive out and take a look at them. So he authorized Deer Drive to be cleared, and Carl Bowen went the next day to clean up the debris, which is what he always does. Fire department said on Rain Road, he could not take that one down because he couldn't remove it because it wasn't down. So Carl took that one down, and then just yesterday, I got a call from a woman on Eagle, and which is above Bayview. And there was a tree down, like on a lot across the street from her, there was a tree down. Not a big deal, it was on the lot, but it was leaning badly into another tree, which if it took it down, would go across the street. So I called I called Carl, he took a look at it, and he said it really needed to come down. So I said, take it down, I mean, we don't want the trees in the roads, or whatever, so. I think that was it on the storm or whatever, the wind. And then the two trees that we've been talking about that are buckling the road, there's one on Delaware at Huron Drive, and Carl hasn't gotten me a price yet because he's been working with Smecco to try to get them to take the one that is on Bay Drive as it turns into Lakeview. And I got a call from Scott Bacon from Smecco today to tell me that they could do it, but that it would take probably a month because their equipment that they'll need to get that out of there is in Virginia, and it's tied up for a month. He's talked with the property owner there, actually the woman's caregiver, I think. And Carl has suggested, I think he also spoke with her, because the woman there will get upset about this. She has dementia. So they figure she's not going to be happy, about all this activity. And it might take 2 days. Because, and Carl will come back to do the cleanup work, which is, I think, too.
Yeah, I think I saw that tree marked, so,
Oh, probably.
yeah.
Carl's, done well, because I was told by Smecco, when I made the initial call, we don't take trees out that are just because they're buckling your roads, that's not our problem. Which I kind of expected that, but it's also involved with lines. Yeah, so Carl can't touch it, but I was surprised they didn't say, well, we'll top it, we'll get it off the lines, but Carl has to come back and take it out. So I didn't argue. So that's it.
Okay. Now, Jack.
Well, I had a look at the budget this afternoon, it looks, all of our expenses look good, right where we expect to be, no problems, no overages, that's all good. But on the asset side, the income side, I'm just a little concerned based on my experience back when I was working. If you have too much budget at the end, it starts to draw attention. So, if you look at the balance sheet, the county-held STD is $253,000. I would suggest, if it comes to that we call that reserve or something after the reserve study. I mean,
Where is this one here?
well, on balance sheet,
On the balance, okay, got it.
It's right out under the
Yeah.
current estimates.
it's just a little ways
okay.
down,
I see, yeah.
county-held STD, $253,000. That's a
Well,
lot of money.
but we're budgeted to pay, Great Mills out of that.
Okay,
So that's,
yeah, I see we still haven't paid them for that.
well, I've not been billed, but right.
Then let me ask
So
a
I have a
question.
lead or so.
I should know, but I don't, is, back to the profit and loss budget versus actual. We have STD earnings and so on, and we budgeted $167,000 for
Right.
all of this projects. Of course, we haven't paid them yet, so we
Right.
didn't spend anything. So is that $167,000 part of the 253
Yes, yes,
over here?
that's what they're holding for us at the county. So when I get the bill, I'll send it to Robin, finance person at the county, and she will transfer 167 or so, and more perhaps, because they don't ever blink as long as it's a capital expense that we're asking for the money.
Yeah, I don't anticipate it
yeah.
there.
But we also have money budgeted out of covenants for that as well. I'd rather spend, as much of the STD money out of it as we can.
Well,
So you had budgeted 180,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total.
that still leaves a big STD balance of it. That
it leaves-
probably won't be spent this fiscal year. It
Well,
almost certainly won't be spent by June.
I'm not so sure. I need to bug Carl because he owes us a bill. And it's been accumulating, and I always have to bug him as the fiscal year is starting to come to a close.
Right.
Carl, I need, the invoice. I mean, I can always get it into the fiscal year, but I prefer to have the bill.
Do we have that liability?
Well, it would be,
And how much is it?
like, probably storm thing, I don't know how much it is, because I don't know how much it is. He always just bills us, and he hasn't. I would think we probably owe him close to 10, for various things over the past.
10,000?
Mhm.
That's really, that's.
Not a huge
That won't
amount.
change
Not a
anything.
huge amount, no.
Yeah.
But we've got these stormwater management jobs too that we're trying to get hold of. And there's 20,000 budgeted, 20,005 out of special tax district.
Well,
But we need to get them on the books, and as we all
it'll
know,
be
we've
about
had trouble with
85 or
Chris.
90,000, not,
Yeah,
uh,
not,
over and above
account.
what we have.
yes.
And the 85,000, I think, is getting up to be for this one, right?
Well, if they're lucky, we may start to spend some money on that beach.
Okay,
Well, some of
That's
that
true.
can come out of STD money. We did have STD money approved.
Right, and I paid some because we had the last bill.
Right.
so, still, that much money, if we could, I'd feel much better if we could say, oh, we have to have a reserve, so that's, makes up part of our reserve. If Lake Arch or someone,
Doesn't tell us now.
you know, isn't sympathetic, starts to quiz us.
Well, how much more do we owe in paving?
The whole job,
100.
180 plus thousand.
Okay.
I mean, it's always a little more than what we think it will be.
Yeah.
Plus I'll be paying Chris, that's not out of STD money, a percentage, and probably not as high of a percentage as we've paid Jeff in the past. Because Jeff was always so much on top of things.
Yeah, you get your money's worth there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Erosion, so I paid, it's not even showing on this sheet. I think I paid 12,000 out of the budgeted amount, but it's just not downloaded yet, so it isn't showing in
Well,
there.
in a way, I think.
Yeah, you're right though.
This reserve thing is kind of good news to me. in
Well,
that
yeah.
sense, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think you should go ahead and contact them, find out, do you have any idea what it costs?
I believe the last one was 5,000 or 6,000. I would have to obviously double check, and I'm sure it's more than that now.
That's about as much as our audit. That's it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
In that same ballpark.
This line item that says reserve account under checking savings, is that the reserve that we have now?
That's the reserve strictly out of our own money, not special tax district.
Okay.
That we put aside
Mhm.
for maintenance of this property.
Mhm.
And we had the roof replaced and we transferred some money in.
Well, they've said we needed really large reserves, this last study, 10, 12 years ago.
Right. But see, now that too was because we were thinking that we would pave all of the roads over the course, or like in 15 years. I guess the life is like 15 to 20 years. So we wanted to accumulate whatever that was. It was a lot of money, like $1 million, I think. It was a lot of money. But now we're doing them mile to a mile and a half, so I don't know how that would impact the reserve study. That's what we would all, or, when they do it, somebody will have to be here, board members and me,
Yeah.
I would think, to ask about those things.
Yeah. It's basically, how do you account for time phased?
Right. Right.
Well, I hope this reserve study isn't just an expense,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I do too. And like I said, I think with condos, it's really important to do.
Right.
Because my little bit of experience with condo associations, buildings deteriorate, they don't have enough money to do it immediately, and then fees have to go up, because
And
you
they
gotta
go by
replace
law.
the roof, you have to replace the roof, and then you have a special assessment. Or if you had a reserve, you wouldn't have to do that. But that's condos. This is different, so I'm not sure how it works. Or I don't even know for sure that it's, there probably are communities that don't, they're not good with their money at all. So, you know, there is a need to have, to make them set aside money.
And it can be quite a big bill.
Yeah, because, you know, there are communities that have,
$20,000.
that have like swimming pools to maintain and care for and all of that. And we're an unusual community when it comes to that. But I'll call and see about getting one set up.
So this would apply to CRE too.
Yeah, I would think so.
So we-
Yeah, it would, it would.
Yeah, we're thinking, is there anything we can read about this?
Yeah, I can
mean, this is all
forward-
news to me.
I can forward the documentation that I got through one of my other communities that I manage. He's, you know, one of the prior board members, previous board members, was the one that came across and said, oh, you guys need to have, or we need to have a reserve study done. And I even said to them, I thought that was just for condos, because it came up at the condo association. I'm like, no, send me, you know, send it to me. I'll forward it to everyone, and you can read the, you know, the ordinance, or not ordinance, whatever they passed, the law saying it had to be done. And maybe you'll interpret it differently, but the man that, you know, sent this to that board is a pretty smart guy. I mean, he's not just, you know, somebody that wouldn't have read it thoroughly. So.
On the P&L, where's the money that we paid coastal design so far?
That's what I was just noticing is not on there yet, and I can go find it, but it's not downloaded, they've apparently not cashed the check yet.
Oh,
So I download transactions. So, you know, I don't like issue the payment from QuickBooks and then I go on the bank's website and I issue a payment. And then a week later or whenever it doesn't hit the account until somebody cashes the check.
that's a funny way of doing it. Could be the difference between accrual and cash, but like normally, if you, in QuickBooks, you write a check to
Yeah.
somebody, it shows up at that time
It does.
being an expense.
But that's what I don't do. I don't write it from QuickBooks. I go online, I issue the payment, and then when it comes to the, you know, the transaction hits the account, then I download every week, and that's when transactions hit the account, the QuickBooks. I can do it the other way, I just never have.
So we've got 24,000 set aside for the beach,
Yes.
and there's just been nothing drawn down?
No, there has been, let me get the,
Oh, there has been.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, it was around a lot,
That's the 24,000 and
9,000 or something like that, it's just part. Remember, we started off, we did pay them for some of the initial study work. And then when they, the next kind of iteration was, once they got into the permitting process and fine tuning the drawings and all that stuff, that was another increment.
Maybe it was last fiscal year.
No, no, it's.
I just sent a payment.
Last month.
$5,000. We paid them $5,000 on March 17th. That's the one that we looked at and said it was in line
Yeah.
with everything else.
Some I was thinking it's more than 5, but that maybe is probably right.
And this was like, so this goes back to last year, last fiscal year, so it's not gonna show on this regardless. So, yeah, it just hasn't.
Just haven't.
And I guess really I should, on these major expenses, go ahead and post it into QuickBooks. And then go online and make that payment, you know. Like if I were printing checks here, that's exactly what I would do, you know, go in and
Well, I
enter a
assumed
charge
you
to the
were,
vendor.
I
and-
assumed you were writing a check, that's why I thought.
Yeah, no, I
thought
did
you
that
did,
now.
but- Okay. Anything else, Jack?
Oh, that's it for me.
So we're gonna get some data on the
Yes.
process for.
Yeah, I'll send that out, and then I'll contact everyone else.
Okay. How about our environmental ladies?
I have nothing, do you have anything?
Just an update on the Ivy League, we had the last one for the season on Riverview, and we had 7 people show up. Thank you, Mike, for showing up. And we knocked out a lot of trees, so we're done for the season.
Thank you.
Ticks are welcome to have it for themselves now.
That's right.
If they just start eating the ivy.
Yeah, we have some at our house, you know.
Okay, that's it?
How many people showed up?
7.
7.
With Kurt and Judy and me and Jenny, forget the other guy's name that was there.
My husband Jeff was there.
Oh, was it your husband?
Mhm.
Okay.
A girl named Kirsten. And who was the other guy?
Juan was there as well.
Yeah, Maggie's husband.
Oh, yeah, that's right, John, yeah. Okay. Maggie, do you have anything, for safety committee, update us?
No, I don't.
Okay. Welcoming committee?
There's really no change. I haven't handed out a bucket for a while.
You know, we paid a lot last time.
Yeah, I do. They're all back there. You know, I sent letters out, I'm all caught up on that, so.
Okay. All right, on planning committee, beach erosion, like I said, been working through the permit process with the Corps of Engineers and the state and everything, so they can get ready to go after the next round with the county and all that. And the Corps of Engineers sent us a thing, had to sign it, it was just like everything else I've signed. And, oh, by the way, they wanted $10. So Rita wrote them a check for $10, put it with the completed permit application deal, sent it all to them. Was it yesterday or today, we get a note from them saying, well, we got your package, but we didn't get your money. You owe us the money. So they probably have spent $500 to collect $10, which is absurd.
So I went online, because there was an option to pay that anyway, like something.gov, so I did that. Used my own credit card, because I changed my purse and I didn't have the office card with me. It was only $10, so that's fine. But anyway, so shortly after, so I sent an email with the proof that I had paid it, a receipt. And I said that I had indeed enclosed a check with that whatever it is, and documents. And so I got a call back from the woman, Nicole, I think.
Yeah,
She
Nicole.
called me right away, and she said she would go look, you know, talk to people that had given her the package to see if the check was there, and if it is, she'll shred it. I said,
Yeah.
that's fine. It's only $10. If it were a lot of money, I'd be like, wait a minute. So, yes,
That epitome of worthless bureaucracy. in that case.
sometimes.
Anyway, so we're moving along on permits. We paid Scott for where we are up to now with the permitting so far, the drawings and everything. So really, I think we got one more small permit hurdle, and then we should be able to start going out for bids, to put a bid package together. And it's got pretty much everything there. It's just a matter of getting it put together and getting it out. That'll give us a better feel for when and how much and all that.
So that'll certainly bring down some of these
Oh, yeah.
numbers, as far as how much money we have.
Yeah.
Probably not until next fiscal year, though, you think? In a big
No, I
way.
doubt it, no,
In a
I
big
mean,
way.
I'm sure it'll be next fiscal year, yeah.
Will
Okay.
they be using up part of the beach to do the work? Or can people use it at the same time as this?
I don't know yet.
I wouldn't think they'd want people on the beach because they've got equipment in there and,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
liability,
gonna,
what
it's
if
gonna have to,
somebody got hurt.
limit it.
Yeah.
My guess is, the way this stuff works and trying to get people to do that size project, we're probably gonna be into later in the year, or maybe, when the beach is done. But that'll be one of the things we'll have to address with them, is how do we control access and all that stuff. Okay, any other unfinished business? New business? Next meeting?
Not quite, didn't quite be.
No,
I'm glad that you sent out a little email. I almost went to get it tonight, and I was like, oh, I've got a board meeting.
That is something I need to, I guess we talked about the next, I'm glad I did too. Otherwise, I'd have to monkey with this to get somebody. Anyway, the next membership meeting cannot be on a Tuesday, speaking of it. I guess everybody weigh in on that,
Yeah.
so I'll schedule that here soon.
Also, sometimes they have their board meetings Tuesday nights too, so,
Oh, yeah.
and they already have like sometimes they have yoga, and they're out in the hallway with the board meetings, or like Tuesday nights seem to be very popular.
We need to go back to,
Well, we used to have it that way, and there was
it's the yacht club.
the yacht club's events and the trivia group at that time, there was
Oh,
a
that's
Wednesday night thing.
and, some of the churches have, Wednesday,
So maybe Thursday.
Wednesday,
Best.
go to church meetings, and
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday doesn't.
Thursday maybe is better. But I can't do the 29th, if it ends up being on that, somebody will just have to do it. Okay, the next board meeting, though, would be on May 2nd. Let's see, does that work for me?
I won't be here, I'll be out of the country,
Oh, fun.
Africa.
How exciting.
I'd like to get
Is
Africa.
it safari?
Oh,
very cool.
That's something on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Cool. Vermont's kind of-
How long?
How long?
How long are you going to be?
Actually 18 days, because I'm doing 3 Victoria Falls and 2 different game camps, and then I added, so I said, look, I'm already there.
Yeah.
I've actually been to South Africa and Kruger Park before, but I never got to Cape Town, so I added
No.
Cape Town extension
Oh, very
to
nice.
Cape Town, so
That
that
sounds
was 18 days.
Who's doing it?
Odyssey Limited, a small group, 14 people. I'll let you know, because I know it's on the list too. Yeah, and I actually know people that have done it, so,
With that group?
yes,
Mm.
yeah. so, fun.
I'm just looking here at my schedule. Okay. I should be able to do the 2nd, if that works for everybody.
That works.
I have a flight dispatch to BWI at 2, so.
No.
I was just at the airport last night taking my daughter to flew back to Montana.
Okay.
I will be out of town on the 6th, I'll be off
On
in
when?
North Carolina, just on the 6th, just one day. It's a Friday, we're going to, my mother-in-law's memorial services.
Oh, this is coming from?
No, May 6th.
May 6th.
I'm sorry, May 6th.
Okay.
Adjourn to executive.
Adjourn.
To executive session. Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Yeah, do we have a